The following program is paid for by the Real Estate Radio Network.
You're listening to Real Estate Radio Fresno on 105.9 The FM KMJ. Now, live in studio, your host, local real estate expert, Craig Barton.
Good morning, Central Valley. I'm your host, Craig Barton, and welcome to the Real Estate Radio Network, the most important hour of radio each week here on 105.9 The FM KMJ. Real Estate Radio is a show dedicated to bringing some rational thought to this crazy world that we live in and helping you to rebuild the Central Valley's housing and credit markets. Within every market, there are solutions as well as tremendous opportunities. You just need some trusted advice. And it's exactly what you're going to hear every Sunday morning from 7 to 8 a.m. right here on 105.9 The FM KMJ. Thanks so much for joining us. Well, good morning, guys.
Good morning.
Good morning.
Does everybody have their coffee?
Not enough.
No.
Not enough. I'm still on that decaf, though.
I was just going to say, with the whole decaf explanation we got a couple weeks back, there's really no way other than just...
No, I'm floating through.
Are you?
I'm just swimming there.
You're just making it?
Making it.
Just making it.
Need a jolt.
Well, as always, it is so good to have my co-host here in the studio with us, my underpercolated Michelle Pettis-Cavalli from Valley White Homes.
Good morning.
Michelle is a licensed realtor and a decaffeinated friend.
That's a decaffeinated friend.
Right?
You guys might like me better this way. I'm thinking.
I've only asked you a couple times as of late to bring it down a notch. So
I know.
Yeah.
I'm trying to behave.
We're also very fortunate as well to have that other voice in the studio. That's Dan Hawkins as our special guest host. Dan is a broker associate from Realty Concepts and the president.
He's the president?
He's the president.
I didn't.
Right, Dan?
Right.
Of the Fresno Association of Realtors.
Because I was like, hey, I think there should have been more vehicles, flags, CHP, somebody helping us.
There was.
I think I'll ask for that, you know?
Yeah, I think you should.
Sounds like a perk to me.
I like it.
Protection. That's all I'm going to say. Protection. Thanks so much. Thanks so much, guys, for being here. Well, the Real Estate Radio Network gives us the opportunity to reach so many people efficiently for one full hour each and every week. Our goal at the Real Estate Radio Network is to get you, our listeners, the timely and accurate truth about your local real estate market so we can help bring you
back home.
On spot.
Back home.
Yeah, no, you did
I do it right?
You did it good the first time.
Okay,
awesome job. Well, extremely excited about today's show. Let's get right to it. We are going to take a look at some of the top stories in the news first. We also, as we mentioned, have Dan Hawkins, our current Fresno Association of Realtors president, in the studio with us. We're also going to take a look at some more listener questions, and I tell you what, the questions continue to get better each and every week. Make sure that you stay with us. Again, if you have any real estate or mortgage-related questions or questions regarding the information that you hear on our show, please call us anytime at 800-979-3958. We would so love to hear from you. You can also check out our resources online, and you can listen to past shows from the Real Estate Radio Network on YouTube by going to our website at REOFresnoHomes.com. To friend us on Facebook, use press 4 keywords.
Friend Valley White on Facebook.
Or use press 4 keywords.
KMJ, call Valley White.
To get connected to us anytime. We'd love to hear from you. Michelle would love to hear from you, right, Michelle?
I love it. Yes.
Well, let's talk about Press 4 real quick. Again, every single week, and I talked to the CEO from Press 4 recently, and he said, good traction, guys.
Really?
Yeah.
People are good
Yeah.
because I have a great hot property I want them to call on.
To call on?
Yeah. I think Dan might have one, too.
Dan does have one.
Awesome.
We're going to get to it in just a second. Well, Press 4 is for all those times that you're away from your computer, and you'd like us to keep you in the know and keep you connected, as well as push great information about our show to you. All you need to do is go to the Press 4 website at PRESS4.com. Follow the easy setup instructions, and we'll keep you in the loop.
And they're going to get the flyer, the information, whatever we're talking about that day.
Going to get an email, going to get a
Correct.
text message.
It's awesome.
Bottom line is you're going to stay connected, and it really is for all those times that you are away from your computer. Well, let's talk about today's hot properties. Today's hot properties are brought to you by Perfect Home Inspections, residential, multifamily, commercial. Use Press 4 keywords, Perfect Home Inspections, or call Jerry Schooley today for your perfect home inspection at 352-6941. That's 352-6941. Dan, why don't you start it off as our guest as far as today's hot property is concerned?
Okay, well, I have a listing out in Reedley at 17840 East Vino Avenue in Reedley, and this is kind of a country property on nearly 3 acres. It's 2,900 square feet. It is a 4-bedroom, 3-bath. It does have a pool. It's an older home, an adobe home. The walls are all 12 inches thick of adobe.
Fantastic.
And it's really kind of a neat place out in the country. We just reduced the price to $189,950, and it is 2,900 square feet on 2.88 acres. So, great property if you want to move to the country and have a little space. And
Is that a traditional sale, short sale?
this is a short sale.
It's a short sale.
Yeah,
Okay.
so it is continuing on short sale approval.
Okay.
We have all the documents in. I do a lot of short sales, so we can get you approved as quick as possible on this. So
On the 3 acres, Dan, is it is it pasture? Is it bare land?
basically pasture.
Okay, perfect.
And it's all in the front of the property, so the property does sit way back off the road, kind of private. And yeah, it's a great little property.
Nice.
Awesome deal. Michelle, you've got another hot property for us as well.
I do. 2371 North Hayes Avenue, 93723 in Central Unified. It's at McKinley and Hayes. It's a gated property. It's got its own private gate, 2.5 acres. It also has pasture.
It actually looks like a presidential estate, Dan. So this
Yeah,
might
maybe Dan should pick this one up.
It might be.
I have a contract waiting for your signature. It has
In the car,
in
right?
the car. That's right. It has an in-ground pool, and what I found out a little bit more about the pool, which I thought was kind of interesting, so I'll throw it out there. It's 4.5 feet deep all the way across.
It's like a little lap pool.
They actually created it for adult volleyball in the pool. So if anybody's I loved it. So if anybody's interested in a pool for volleyball and a great house and a great
So what I want to
gorgeous
know
yards.
is, how did that come up in conversation?
Okay, you get the greatest questions when you're showing houses, don't you?
Right.
How many horsepower does the pump have? I'm like, dirt, deer in the headlights. I'll find out for you. How deep is the pool? Dirt, deer in the headlights. I'll find out for you. That's how I found out. They asked.
Gotcha.
This is what we
The
do.
power of the quiz.
The power of the questions people bring
Yep.
to us. Things that I would sometimes not even think of. I love that, though.
Fantastic.
Yeah,
Fantastic.
yeah.
List price, $289,900.
This price is $289,000, and we're looking forward to moving this property.
Fantastic. Fantastic. Last hot property today is 2276 East Trenton Avenue, Fresno, California, 93720. It's located in Fresno County. This is a 4-bedroom, 3-bath, 2,598 square foot home built in 1993. Now, this particular property was a former CTX model home, so there's all sorts of nice little upgrades as far as the property is concerned.
You guys both brought big houses.
Well, I couldn't help it.
I guess not. That's a great, 4-bedroom, 3-bath, nice.
Yep.
Big family home.
Clovis Unified Schools, Major Cross Street, Teague and Chestnut. All this for this particular property was appraised at $250,000. It is an FHA appraisal. That
Okay.
appraisal is completely 100% portable. The property is a HUD home and is currently eligible to all bidders. The bidding deadline is daily at 11:59 Central Standard Time. And I don't know if I mentioned, but it is eligible for FHA financing. And that appraisal being completed already saves your buyer potentially the cost of an appraisal somewhere between $400 and $450. Again, if you'd like more information about today's hot properties, please give us a call anytime at 800-979-3958 or use press 4 keyword
KMJ Hot Property.
and we'll send you more information about these hot properties right to your phone. Look for more hot properties each week right here on the Real Estate Radio Network. Let's talk about finding your new home. We haven't spoken about finding your new home in the last few weeks.
Dan and I were just discussing the subject.
Yeah.
And we were discussing the level of angst people seem to have when they're looking for a new home if they're not getting a response as quick as they like.
Well,
so we would like to educate them about a way that they can keep up on the market with their agent by working with a good agent to get them a portal on the MLS.
Perfect. Again, how do you go about searching for your new or your next home, I should say, whether it is an investment property, a second home, or possibly even your next primary residence? Do you look in the Fresno Bee? Do you spend a lot of time on Craigslist? Do you search on the internet looking at Trulia or Realtor.com? Or
Those are all great avenues to keep up to date with what's going on out there. But if you want to know what's available right this minute in the Fresno area, you better be talking to your agent and having them set you up a portal, because it's very hard to keep a tab on these houses. They go so quickly.
Yeah, inventory is very low.
Very.
And there's not a whole lot of houses out there to pick from.
So just because you see a sign doesn't mean it's for sale. Let's make that very clear. I love when people call me and say, I just saw a sign. And I'm thinking, dude, that's gone. They don't even have to say much more. I'm like, it's gone. There's only 1,200 houses left in
I
inventory.
can already tell you, right?
Well, no, I mean, I'm being facetious. But no, seriously.
Or you get that phone call that they say, yeah, I saw this property, and it's located here, and what's the address? And you pull it up, and, well, unfortunately...
It's sold in March.
Yeah, it's sold in March. It's been closed for a few months now. So
great new family living
Or
there.
you have 6 offers on it. It
Yeah.
was listed yesterday. You know.
Right.
11 offers, remember?
And like we mentioned, if there's 11 offers, there's 10 losers.
Right.
Then it's the frustrating thing about today's market. Well,
Right.
to ensure that you stay on top of the search for your next home, it's extremely important that you do sit down and talk with a real estate professional that can utilize one of the search tools available to you. In this particular instance, it would be going through the process of sitting down and identifying where you want to live, what amenities you would preferably like to have on your next new home, and then setting up that search for you and creating your own web portal so that the information that's pushed to you is up to date, accurate, and timely, so you really can stay on top of that search. Because let me tell you this, that property comes on the market this morning, and if it is in the area and possesses the amenities that you so choose for your family, you better get on it.
Same day.
Yes, same day. There is
Better
no...
go see it.
No waiting until 2 days to look.
Yeah.
Drive by it, and if you for sure want it, well, you better call right now.
Yeah, 2 days
Call your
means that
agent.
there's going to be 4 offers.
And call
And-
your agent. Can
Yes.
I make that? I would like to highlight that. Call your agent. Call the person who's been working their fanny off to find you that property.
Right.
And to keep you educated, because they are the person who has your best interest in mind. They are focused on helping you. So
And
they
hopefully
will,
they've earned your business as well.
And don't think you can call the guy on the sign. He's going to represent you. He's getting paid by the seller. So he's representing the seller. You need your own representation by your realtor.
And a really good point, because oftentimes, sometimes those buyers get a little mischievous, and they start thinking that circumvention is the best way to do it, because that agent on that sign is going to... No, sorry, that's not the way it's going to work.
It doesn't work that way.
Well, if you'd like a little help in having us set up that search for you, contact your agent. Or what were you going to say, Michelle?
I actually wanted to mention, I have some great clients who've been looking in the Madera area. And they had some friends that are living in that in an area off Schnorr Avenue years ago, and they are familiar with the house. And it's been empty and vacant and has the foreclosure signs on it and whatnot, and it has not been listed. So I found it really, people don't realize how dialed in we can get on our system. We are able to actually dial in a neighborhood or a specific address, etc. So if that house is empty and has stickers on the door that tell you it's gone into foreclosure, it's going to be on the market soon, let your agent know that you have a specific home to watch, because we can dial that in that specifically.
You can
And
create a portal just for that particular home.
As soon as that house comes on the market, you will know. So you don't miss something that you really desire. Because I have seen some buyers out there who drive neighborhoods and they're like, there's a lot of empties in the neighborhood. Okay, well, if there's a specific one you want to see,
Let us
and
know.
there's no sign yet, let's keep an eye on it.
Right,
So
definitely.
that's all I was going to say, is that you can dial it in that specifically.
Most definitely. If you'd like some help, definitely give us a call. Again, if you have any real estate or mortgage-related questions or questions regarding the information that you do hear on our show, please call us anytime. We'd love to hear from you. 800-979-3958. You can also check out our resources online and listen to past shows from the Real Estate Radio Network at our website, REO-FresnoHomes.com. Again, to friend us on Facebook, use Press 4 Keywords.
Friend Valley-Wide on Facebook.
Or use Press 4 Keywords.
KMJ, call Valley-Wide.
To get connected to us anytime. We'd love to hear from you. Well, coming up, we're going to take a look at some of the top stories in the news. And again, there is no shortage of information or no shortage of stories that's taking place right at the moment. Make sure you stay with us. You are listening to the Real Estate Radio Network, helping to redefine real estate on 105.9, the FM KMJ.
This program is brought to you by the Real Estate Radio Network. Visit realestateradio.us for more info. That's realestateradio.us.
Thinking about buying a home? Find out how the HUD Home Store can help you. Visit HUDHomestore.com. Look at HUD homes available for sale near you or nationwide. Why HUD Home Store? HUD will pay up to 3% of the buyer's closing cost. The price of the home is based on an FHA as-is appraisal, which is already completed, saving you an average of $400. And there is an owner-occupant priority bidding period during the first 30 days. Want to know more? Visit HUDHomestore.com.
Mortgage interest rates are at historic lows, and there's never been a more affordable time to buy real estate. Whether you're looking for your first home, moving up, or your next income-producing property, let the mortgage professionals at Valley White help. Valley White Homes has been helping homeowners with their mortgage needs since 1997. When it comes to the Valley's real estate, we know our way around the neighborhood. Call toll-free 800-979-3958 and put the seasoned professionals at Valley White Homes to work for you. Valley White Homes, NMLS number 342062, 235-952, California Department of Real Estate License 0122-8460. Have you ever thought about going solar? It's never been easier to go solar than with a SunPower lease. You'll start saving money the very first day. Arise Solar has a team of energy consultants ready to help you determine if going solar is right for you. Start taking control of your energy costs. Contact Arise Solar, your local SunPower Elite dealer at 449-8989. That's Arise Solar at 449-8989. Or use press 4 keywords, Arise Solar.
You're listening to Real Estate Radio Network with local expert Craig Barton. Now, here's Craig.
We said we're going to take a look at some of the top stories in the news. First story on the list, shadow inventory shrinking. Does that mean the actual shadow is shrinking, like the house is losing weight?
What shadow inventory? Dan?
No houses.
We have no houses on
to
our
look at.
market.
There's nothing on the market. My question is, and we've heard this for, the last 2-3 years, is that there's all this shadow inventory.
Yeah, wow.
There's all these houses lurking in the shadows. Why don't they want to come out and play? That's what I want to know.
I just can't believe they're saying that the inventory is shrinking.
Well, we know the inventory is shrinking.
It wasn't ever in existence.
But the stuff in the shadows is shrinking, too.
Yeah, it's just crazy.
A couple of things are happening, I think. Part of them are getting sold at the steps, you know. A lot of that going on. There was never before. A little bit different scenario down there. And a lot of them are getting rented. You know, Fannie Mae, Freddie Mac are renting houses for a year and then putting them back on the market in a year and selling them. And I
also,
think they're holding on to them a little bit.
And some bulk sales that we're hearing.
Yeah.
Most definitely.
Yeah, holding on to them until they get that current number. They did a bulk sale down in Riverside, about 450 houses, and they want to get all that group to sell them, but it really doesn't make any sense because they're going to discount them to sell them, and they could get market rate for them today. So I don't know why they want to bulk sell them.
It really does beg you to ask that question. You just summed it up right there. Why not? And I understand simple economics as far as market dynamics are concerned, and we'll talk about that a little bit later. We could still handle. We're right at the moment 1,270 some listings as of this morning in Fresno County. Active single family residences. Last month we closed countywide 773, something like that. March and April were roughly in the 800 ballpark. Well, we can handle a little more inventory and not flood the market and really hurt homeowners, which we don't want to do, and we understand that's part of the goal.
Right.
Well, when you say simple economics. They are saving a little on the negotiation of these in the purchase, but they're losing jobs, in my opinion. Like you have one buyer or one group that's buying these homes. You have one person in the transaction coordinating. You might have one title company handling it. You've dropped agents. You've pulled out the inspectors. You've pulled out additional title folks who would be involved in other transactions. Appraisers. There's a lot of folks who are not going to benefit from this. So we need to watch this just as an organization and as a group because this affects all of our industry.
Yeah, plus it's selling them for less money. I mean, they would want to get top dollar, I would think. And really, truly, after you pay all those folks, they would still profit at least what they're profiting now. Right.
And that's the issue. And so to create jobs and profit the same is really what I would caution people about. Yeah,
Dan, it's funny. It's interesting that you bring up that note and you say you would think they would want top dollar. I actually had a comment that was made by a homeowner that said that there was communication directly with the servicer, and the servicer was U.S. Bank. And U.S. Bank said, "I'm sorry to let you know, Mr. Homeowner, but we are going to take the property back. We're not going to short sale it. We're not going to allow your short sale to go through because the underlying insurance that we have on this loan will actually net us more. Now, that's not necessarily every single transaction out there,
right?
Because again, this particular note had underlying mortgage insurance that was purchased, that was actually buried in the rate. It was not purchased or paid for by the homeowner directly. It was paid for them. It was paid by them through the increase in the interest rate they were paying at the time that they actually took the loan out. So the sad thing is that in that particular instance, the homeowner didn't, and I don't want to say didn't win, but they really lost in a big way. And the homeowner, I'll be frank, was pissed, was over the top livid, because that's one of those instances that and I hate talking about something that's negative like that, because usually we hear the success stories of, hey, we can no longer continue to make our payments. We've fallen on hard times. We're going to short sale the property. We're going to work with our real estate professional. We're going to get that sucker marketed, and we're going to help make and I'm not going to say dignified, transition to another property where we're going to maintain control of our situation. This is unfortunately not one of those stories, and it's one of those isolated stories that you hear of that someone says underlying insurance is going to pay us more.
And I think some of the lenders actually are putting mortgage insurance on as well on a bulk basis. So the homeowner doesn't even know that the mortgage insurance is on there.
Sure, exactly.
So I get the house listing on a short sale. I get into the thing and find out through talking to the lender it has mortgage insurance on there, so they don't have any desire to short sell that house, so they're going to get paid off.
Right.
And,
no motivation.
No motivation.
Financial motivation, I have to add.
Yeah. So it's it's pretty wild out there.
It resembles how we got into this market, honestly, with insurance against the mortgages, etc. Nonetheless,
is that greed, or is that just lack of financial or lack of fiscal control?
I think it goes back to greed, but nonetheless, it's a little disheartening, because I'm kind of a passionate person. So my thought process in this entire market is, let's get people back where they belong. Let's build our neighborhoods back up. Let's use our 203Ks and rehab these properties. Let's move forward as a collective, as a whole.
Exactly.
And so when I hear these stories, I find it a little.
It's a little disheartening.
It is.
And again, that's not the norm. That is the exception rather than the rule. It's just unfortunate when you hear a story like that.
Yeah.
Let's talk. Second story here. Where are homes selling fastest? Now, the average number of days homes are spending on the market has dropped by nearly 10%. Well, that's a good thing, especially if you live in Fresno County, and you might be an agent or a broker. Fresno County, Fresno, California, number 4, median days on the market, 43.
Wow.
Let me tell you, it doesn't give you a whole lot of time for messing around.
And is that to contract?
I don't know. I don't know. I'm assuming that it's average number of days on the market before you actually get into contract. Okay. Because I'd have to say with inventory, it'd be interesting to contact Justice over the association to see if he was able to pull the numbers.
I just happen to have the numbers for you here,
Craig.
Oh
my gosh!
Go for it.
This is why we called the president.
Yes.
As of end of July, we had 1,081 under contract, and our average days in the market was 52. Now, this is Fresno Clovis.
Okay.
Single-family homes. So
wow.
That's
1,081 in contract.
1,081 in contract as of the end of July.
So that's roughly a month and a half
of normal inventory.
We have 1.4 months of inventory currently, which means that in 1 month and a little over half, if we didn't list another house, every listing would be gone. That tells you what the buyer is up against when you're trying to buy a house.
Sure.
Yeah, exactly.
The buyer's job is not for the weak in constitution or the weak at heart, because let me tell you, your resolve will definitely become tested. And it doesn't mean, again, if it's worth working for, if it's worth having, it's worth working for it. You're going to have to work for it.
Yeah.
I think that's a good thing, though.
And I think it's all about expectations.
Yes.
Sit down with your realtor and make sure you know what to expect before you get into the house buying process.
Exactly.
And let him walk you through it, and you'll have a lot less frustrating situation.
Well, it's like anything else. You go sit down at the doctor, and the doctor says, well, by the way, you're here. So what are we here for today? What's going on with you? Well, this, that, and the other thing. Okay, here's what we're going to do. And as long as the job is our responsibility to make sure we set as best we can clear and concise expectations so that the buyer knows what to expect, and to also advise you as to potential pitfalls or potential surprises that you could see along the way. Or if life were like a flow chart, here's what can happen, and here's the potential options or the potential ways that this could go at some point. Next story, let's talk about the proposed revamp of the HUD-1 settlement statement, as well as the good faith estimate that still has to take place as part of Frank Dodd. You know, there is still additional legislation. If you're a buyer out there, what does this mean to you? Well, is it really, at the moment, clear and concise in terms of a buyer understanding? So when the day's done, what are all my fees and expenses going to be associated with a transaction? And does it make sense?
I'm going to tell you, buyers are more confused now than they probably ever have been in most transactions. I have a buyer who's working on 203K, so it is a little quirkier. However, every time that appraisal's been looked at and based on an appraiser making some errors, had a change or some kind of update made to it, he got an email and got, a new disclosure. Every time we adjusted a bid from a contractor, a new disclosure. And we're the lending office in this situation. We're not realtors in this situation. Our office is handling the lending. So the poor buyer is every day getting something new in the email because legally they're being disclosed every time somebody changes the, dot of the I. That's more confusing than it was before.
Well, that is the intent as far as the legislation is concerned, is to keep the buyer in the know. If the loan amount changes, if the interest rate changes, if something happens, if something changes as far as the transaction is concerned. The frustrating part is this. In terms of being a buyer, it's hard enough work in today's climate. I would just say this. It really is incumbent upon any lender out there to ensure and sit down with their client that they break out all the cost, fees, and expenses that are associated with any type of purchase transaction. And it may not be evident with the current legislation that's in place in terms of the good faith estimate. Now, the changes that are going to happen are trying to tie in the TIL or the truth in lending disclosure into the new HUD-1. All I'm going to say is this. It needs to get better before it gets worse because at the moment it's as clear as a mud puddle. As far as buyers are concerned, because you see a HUD-1, it just doesn't make sense unless a lender goes outside of their box and says, okay, here is what used to be the old good faith estimate, and this is a better representation. It's a better tool that I can utilize in order to paint the picture for you as to what Dan, you just said it. You said expectation earlier. Again, can you set a clear and concise expectation? In today's current legislative environment, I don't believe so personally. And I think, unfortunately, it puts buyers in an awkward position.
Well, and again, I'm going to say you cannot legislate stupid out of the equation. People have the ability to make decisions, right, wrong, or indifferent. Some made good decisions, some made bad decisions, but you can't legislate a fix at this point to this particular.
We will see how the Consumer Finance Protection Bureau goes about addressing this. They will. There's a comment period that's currently open right at the moment. We'll see what happens. Hopefully they are good at listening to all those entities, NAR being one of them, correct, in terms of trying to make it clearer than a mud puddle. Last thing I want to talk about is talk about Sierra Pacific Mortgage here locally in Fresno as a wholesaler. And I sat down with the regional manager, Mike Clark, recently. And we were talking about they are actually going to have an educational mixer brought by or put on by Sierra Pacific Mortgage as well as Access Appraisals. It's going to be Tuesday, August 28th at Fort Washington Country Club. Let me tell you, that's a nice place out there.
And who are they focusing this on? Is this the consumer or is this people in the industry?
Actually, it's real estate agents in our industry. And granted, there's a lot of agents that do listen in the mornings or on Sunday morning, as well as loan officers, to try to make sure, and I don't want to say this the wrong way, the intent is to bring everyone together in a coalition, help to try to educate and make sure that everybody's on the same page. Because, as we mentioned before, it's incumbent upon, number one, who's on your team, and number two, that they all get along. Nobody throws sand in the sandbox, and that everybody gets together and works together towards a common goal. But utilizing appraisal, I had an agent 2 weeks ago that said, gosh, I wish you could, sent me a text message and said, I wish you could show me how to read an appraisal and rebut an appraisal. She was in disagreement as far as the actual value is concerned. I said, let me know. I'd be happy to sit down with you anytime. We'll go through the process and take a look at, is the appraisal valid? And why do you think the appraisal isn't necessarily valid? And I'm assuming the value was cut and there was potential issues. And so what were the issues?
That was an agent, you said?
It was an agent.
Okay.
An agent that I work with quite often. Well, this is a special invitation to real estate agents in the Fresno Association, as well as loan officers, put on by Sierra Pacific Mortgage, Tuesday, August 28th at Fort Washington Country Club. There is a seminar that's going to start at 3 p.m. and go to 4:30, so it's an hour and a half of learning and talking about preparing for appraisal inspections, appeals if the appraisal is too low, or if they believe that it might be too low, the Uniformed Appraisal Data Set, Uniform Collateral Data Portal, all these acronyms, my gosh, and data trends, what's going on in today's market, and to be prepared for that, because if property values are declining or property values are increasing, there usually is the potential for there being somewhat of a disconnect, and some folks not being on page as far as the transaction is concerned. This particular, it also, just to clarify, reception starts at 4:30 and goes until 6. It's a hosted bar. They've got appetizers that they are going to feed everybody with. So they're going to learn you. In other words, they're going to teach you, and then they're going to feed you. What a good deal.
They gave you a sandbox to come play in.
They
It's
did.
really what they did.
That's
for the realtors and the lenders to have
together.
conversation. That's
Together.
great.
Definitely.
Absolutely.
If you've got more questions, all you need to do is contact Mike Clark with Sierra Pacific Mortgage at 281-4057. Again, that's Mike Clark at Sierra Pacific Mortgage at 281-4057.
Sounds like a great event.
I tell you what, anytime you can get everybody together and learn, and also, and I say mix, meaning develop a little trust and rapport.
Well,
Again,
go ahead.
Again, if you have any real estate or mortgage-related questions or questions regarding the information that you hear on our show, call us anytime, 800-979-3958. We'd love to hear from you. You can also check out our resources online at reofresnohomes.com. Friend us on Facebook by using Press4 keywords.
Friend Valley White on Facebook.
Again, or use Press4 keywords
KMJ, call Valley
to
White.
get connected to us anytime. We'd love to hear from you. Well, coming up, you've heard Dan Hawkins, our special guest host here in the studio with us. Dan is a broker associate with Realty Concepts, and our current president of the Fresno Association of Realtors. You're not going to want to miss this. You are listening to the Real Estate Radio Network, helping to redefine real estate here on 105.9, the FM KMJ.
This program is brought to you by the Real Estate Radio Network. Visit realestateradio.us for more info. That's realestateradio.us.
All it takes is one call to the professionals at Valley White Homes, and you'll start building wealth in real estate. Whether you're looking for your first home, moving up, or your next income-producing investment property, let the experts at Valley White Homes help. There's never been a better time to get into the real estate market. Visit our website at reofresnohomes.com or call toll-free 800-979-3958. That's 800-979-3958. And put the seasoned professionals of Valley White Homes to work for you. Have you ever thought about going solar? It's never been easier to go solar than with a SunPower lease. You'll start saving money the very first day. Arise Solar has a team of energy consultants ready to help you determine if going solar is right for you. Start taking control of your energy costs. Contact Arise Solar, your local SunPower Elite dealer at 449-8989. That's Arise Solar at 449-8989. Or use Press4 keywords, Arise Solar.
Thinking about buying a home? Find out how the HUD Home Store can help you. Visit HUDHomestore.com. Look at HUD homes available for sale near you or nationwide. Why HUD Home Store? HUD will pay up to 3% of the buyer's closing cost. The price of the home is based on an FHA as-is appraisal, which is already completed, saving you an average of $400. And there is an owner-occupant priority bidding period during the first 30 days. Want to know more? Visit HUDHomestore.com.
You're listening to Real Estate Radio Network with local expert Craig Barton. Now, here's Craig.
Well, Michelle, I told you, we've got the president in the studio.
I know, and I feel a little sad that we didn't pick him up in style with the limo and the flags and the whole...
Yeah, I would appreciate that.
I know.
Please
I think we really need to work on that.
The flags flying and all
Will
that
you
good
come back
stuff.
another time and
I
let
would
us
love to.
escort
We'll
you?
do it the right way.
We'll do it the right way. That's right.
Well, as we mentioned earlier, we've got Dan Hawkins, who is the broker associate with Realty Concepts, as well as current Fresno Association of Realtors president. How'd you get that gig?
I've been involved in leadership for about 12 years, so it took a little time. But
Yes.
I really believe in giving back to the community that's been so good to me. And
Fantastic.
I believe in giving back and getting involved in the community and all the great stuff that FAR does, and I think it's really worthwhile.
Well, let's go over your resume real quick here. Dan, 30 years.
Yes.
Plus years of experience as a real estate broker. He also has 20 years of experience building homes. Dan was on the board of directors of the Fresno Association of Realtors from 2004 2005, past president of the Community Housing Council 2003-2004. In 2009, Dan was the MLS chair at the Fresno Association of Realtors and a director for the Association of Realtors for 2010 to 2013. Dan also possesses the professional designations of Graduate Realtors Institute and CRS, which is Certified Residential Specialist, and awarded At Home with Diversity Certificate and a designation for Certified Residential Broker. Did I miss anything?
You know, I need to update that. There's a couple things there, but I need to update that, Craig.
Well, next time when we really do bring you on the right way, we'll make sure we get that updated for you. Well, you had mentioned before, talking before we actually came on the show, detail what exactly does FAR, or the Fresno Association of Realtors, do for realtors?
Well, I want to start out by giving you the mission statement of the Fresno Association of Realtors, and that is to promote the professionalism of realtors and to make available the programs and services that allow members to conduct their business with integrity and competency.
I love the word integrity, as well as competency.
I was going to say professional, integrity, and competency were
And
the
ethics,
three.
My goal as president this year, number one, is to promote professionalism, ethics, and integrity in all that we do as realtors. And that's what I'm trying to broadcast to all of our members and trying to instill that it's so important to do that in all of our transactions and all our dealings with the public.
We have to hold ourselves to a higher standard.
Yeah, and as a realtor, we do.
Mm-hmm. Most definitely. Well, outline real briefly some of the responsibilities that you have as president. You talked about getting that message out there. What other responsibilities do you have to the association?
Well, I basically oversee everything that's done down there. I represent the association in any community events or things that we attend,
Sure.
Such as the EDC broadcast and, just all sorts of community activities. I'm chair of the committees that are there, and we have several committees that are involved in the Association of Realtors. The primary one being the Education Committee, there's community outreach, investors, exchangers, membership, scholarship, and affiliate committees. So there's lots of committees that get involved, and I kind of oversee all that and just basically represent the association in whatever they do.
If I can ask, I know that there are some legislative responsibilities that the association participates in as far as sending people up to Sacramento when there's things that are going to affect our industry. Are you a part of those types of committees as well?
I'm a CAR director as well. That's the California Association of Realtors director.
Okay.
We have 3 meetings a year. Our final meeting for 2012 will be in October, and we'll be in Anaheim.
Okay.
And we meet with our individual committees, housing, legislative, strategic planning and finance, taxation and finance. You have a choice of being whatever committee you want to be on. And it's very interesting because this is where the laws actually get made. When we have our middle meeting each year, it was in Sacramento, and we actually meet with our legislators face-to-face, tell them our needs, what we're trying to do, oversee their bills that they're trying to get passed. And we can actually watch the bill get created and go through law. We have very strong lobbyists in Sacramento, and it's really fascinating and gets the laws passed that Several years ago, you guys probably remember banks wanted to get into real estate. We defeated that. Right now, we're fighting mortgage interest deduction for the homeowner. They're trying to defeat that because of the budget problems.
Right.
And it really does a lot of good in the real estate business in Sacramento.
So, having said that, what are some of the other challenges that you have seen thus far this year that you feel passionate about, or that you feel that it's been a challenge?
It's been a challenge. There's lots of new agents. There's lots of people getting back to the business. What I see back is professionalism. I just so want everybody to be professional and treat everybody with respect. Get back to the basic facts of face-to-face, talking with each other and networking with each other, and just respect each other. The little things that count. Return phone calls, return emails. Everybody gets so busy and so wrapped up in their technology that we forget about, maybe we should take an offer over to Craig and present it to him in person and meet him before I do the transaction, and you'd be surprised at how better that transaction would go if I meet that agent in advance in person.
It's interesting you say that, because one of the with every single one of Valleywide's listings that I have, there is a special phone number that I have listed on the listing and that I program into my phone so that I know when it rings it says Fresno MLS direct line. Because the important thing to me is I want to talk to every single agent that has a question. But also how often I get a phone call, oh my gosh, I didn't get Jim Kavanaugh called me last week and said, wow, Craig, I didn't get your recording. He goes, like so many other agents, or I get to talk to a real live body. I kind of consider myself, or I think it's important we are the ambassador, whether it be to our fellow agents, as well as the consumers. And it's extremely important that we take it upon ourselves to be that quote-unquote soft place for them to land and get answers and work together, and because we're all in this together.
I agree.
I really firmly believe, and I've said this before, and you can listen to it on the past shows. I feel like I've got 3,000 people out there, agents within the association, that are on our team.
Right.
Because we're all in this together.
That's all together. That's what the multiple listing service does, is expose your listing to 3,000 agents out there to work for you to sell your house. And as president, I conduct the orientations as a part of it, as the president down at the board. And that's what I try to emphasize with these new agents coming in, Show respect for the sellers. If you're going to make an appointment to go show that house, call them and say you can't go. Follow the agent's description in the MLS. If it says by appointment only, don't go banging up at their door. Follow the instructions. Have respect for everybody in the transaction. And that's, that's been my passion this year, really.
How many times have you had to ask an agent, how did your mom and daddy raise you? Because it does it does make you wonder.
It really does.
It is important. I so can't say that enough. I totally agree wholeheartedly. Showing respect for our agents, for the sellers, it's extremely important. We're all in this together. We're on the same team. And with as difficult a job or task that we can have representing a buyer in today's market, with as difficult as it is, it doesn't mean that homes don't get sold. As we mentioned last month, 773 homes that sold in Fresno County. But talk real quick about some of the market dynamics. Again, you were talking about some of the statistics. How many houses that are currently listed? You had mentioned there was 1,080 some that were currently in contract. We sold roughly 770 some last month. We've got, I think you had mentioned, 1.4 months in inventory.
Which isn't much.
It really isn't.
No.
Especially
1.4 months into July.
Especially when, Dan, can you remember last year when we had 2,800 listings, active listings on the market about a year ago, let's say?
Was that the shadow?
Yeah.
Just try January, Craig.
Yeah.
Today, currently in Fresno Clovis, we have 1,517 single-family listings. That's Fresno and Clovis. 1,081 are under contract. And in July, we sold 744. But if you just go back to January of this year, 7 months ago, there was 2,910 for sale.
Isn't that amazing?
So we got half just in 6 months. And
it's a different market, different world. 3.7
months of inventory, down to the end of July, 1.4 months. So it's really going down steadily. The sales are obviously going down, the number, because we have less to sell.
Sure.
The demand is high. So if anybody is out there considering it, this would be a great time to put your house on the market.
When the interest rates are so low.
Oh, yeah.
3.3% today, 30-year fixed.
Sure.
I mean, when are you ever going to get that kind of a rate?
When the money is this cheap.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
You get sub 4% easily, sub 3%.
Yeah.
If you're talking shorter term financing.
15-year loan.
15-year loan.
I mean, it's
easily.
just as good as it gets, you know.
Go ahead, Michelle.
Well, with inventory being so low, I'm just a little curious if you see a trend, and I don't know statistically if there's a trend, as far as traditional foreclosure versus short sale. On those three, which one are we selling most of? Do we know?
Traditional.
It is still traditional.
Yeah. It's, traditional sales is about 66%.
Okay.
Short sales is about 21%. And I didn't bring the graph with me, but REO is about 30%.
Okay.
Yeah, the balance.
Now,
so still the biggest are traditional sales,
Okay.
which if you go look at the market, you talk to anybody, you'd say the whole market is just sales.
Yeah.
That's not really true because about 60% of our active listings are traditional listings.
Right.
The rest are REO and short sale.
Okay.
So, and that's getting more and more, I think, as we go into the year, more traditional sellers are putting their house on the market.
Wow.
Right, because it is a good
price
time.
is going up, and they can sell that house even if they don't get the high price that they want. They can turn around and buy a house with a 3.3 rate,
Right.
and maybe have a 6% interest rate on their house now.
Right.
And they can go from a higher interest rate to a lower interest rate and really come out in a pretty good position.
Right.
Speak to what housing prices are doing right at the moment with there being such pressure and demand being so great and supply being so low. What are you seeing in terms of pressure on prices?
They're in the traditional listings are up about 10% in the last 12 months.
Wow.
That's good.
Yeah.
That's really, really great.
Yeah, so it's definitely turning around. I think the bottom has finally come in 2012, and I think as long as the inventory stays low, which the shadow inventory we've been talking about, we don't know.
Yeah.
If the bank all of a sudden unloads some, that could affect that. But if the inventory stays low, I think prices will increase. And traditionally 3% a year, is what we've been used to.
Sure.
And that may come back. As long as the inventory stays low.
Even if we did see an increase, like you were saying back in January, with inventory being what it was, even if we saw a doubling in inventory right now, it makes you ask the question, would we still be able to, in other words, would demand still keep up with that amount of supply? And my guess would be, why wouldn't it?
I think
with the prices, we're over 70% affordability rate.
Yes.
So, I mean, people can afford houses. If you look at a $175,000 house to finance it with 3.5% down and say a 4% rate, you can actually buy that house cheaper with a payment than you can rent it.
Yeah, in a big way.
The payment, I think, was $1,160 a month for that house. That same house would probably rent for $1,300 to $1,400. So it's amazing if you can come up with 3.5%, you can buy a house.
You don't
and
even
not
have.
rent.
I mean, and if you have an income low enough, you can come up with CHDAT for 3 of that percent.
Yeah, there you go.
So really, there's
You've
a
got
lot
the down
of
payment.
tools out there.
Yeah, so there's just a great time to buy.
Right.
So, and also when talking about buyers, just a couple words as far as how buyers can help structure offers to make their offers more palatable, as well as give them a greater chance for success in today's market.
Right. I think probably if you can make your offer as clean as possible. The old days in the last 4 or 5 years, we got into automatically asking the seller to pay closing costs of the buyer. That's kind of changing because we're in the multiple offer situations, and you may have to pay your own closing costs.
Yeah.
But
it is all about the
net. Be careful on termite. Be careful what you put on the contract, because whatever you put on the contract, the lender is going to make you do that. So if you want to put a termite on and it's bad, the lender is going to make you clear it. If
that is a
leave it
great
off,
tip.
And then you can always have your 17 days to do whatever your inspections you want. So you're not going to be uncovering anything. You're just going to make your offer clean so you compete against the other buyer's offer.
Correct. And I've seen a lot of offers where they're still throwing a lot of those things on, and I'm thinking, wow, that lender does not want to see that.
No.
You can still have your termite inspection.
Yeah,
you have all the
you can
time
do
in the
whatever you want.
world.
You got
There's
17
days to do it.
But
it doesn't have to be on the contract.
You can complete any inspection that you so choose within your contingency period in order to protect yourself, but it doesn't have to be part of the contract per se.
And have your realtor call the listing agent before he writes the offer and ask him, is there anything I can put in my offer to make my offer more desirable to you, to your seller?
Again.
They may have something,
Right. Again, picking up the phone and building that trust with the agents. Absolutely.
A little communication will go
Communication
a long...
helps. It's wonderful, especially face-to-face.
Yeah. Funny
Not
how
on
that-
the technology stuff,
Funny how
I know
that
that's
works.
great, but
Yeah. And what can a seller do, Dan, real quick, as far as today's market's concerned, to sell their home quicker?
I think it's got to be priced right. Mm-hmm. You know, those old days of let's try it here and see how it goes, probably not going to work in today's market.
Sure.
Have your realtor run the comps, price it right, and make sure it shows well. You know, make sure it's uncluttered, make sure the little things are done, the little painting, the little things you can do.
Yeah.
You know, have your realtor take a look at it before you put it in the market and say, what can I do to make this look? And declutter it, depersonalize the pictures, make that buyer walk in and picture himself in that house without your family pictures in it.
Simple is
Makes
better.
Big difference.
Yeah.
And one thing I would just want to speak is leave the house when it's being shown.
Yes. Yeah. That's a
That is the most uncomfortable situation for a buyer to come into a beautiful home that they probably would love to raise their family in, but you're sitting in the kitchen cooking dinner and the kids are running through the house and they feel like they can't even speak to the quality of the house because people are listening.
It reminds me of the movie The Hills Have Eyes, because it makes me feel somebody's looking at me.
Yeah,
and next thing you know, your client's going.
So short sell, traditional sell, exit the home while your house is being shown.
Extremely
That's just
important.
Yeah, I love these short sell sellers. It says you can only show it every Tuesday. That's the only day you can show it.
It is a little
That's
tricky.
not marketing your house to sell it too quickly. You know?
Yeah, exactly.
That sounds like you maybe want to stay there a little longer for free or something. I don't know. What
Makes you ask that question, doesn't it?
Yeah.
So you'd have to say, or my guess would be is, if you were a betting man, that you had mentioned earlier, you think we've hit the bottom?
I think we've hit the bottom.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. You certainly get the feeling. It makes you wonder, with inventory being what it is right at the moment, regardless of what quote-unquote shadow inventory is, they say it's 600,000 units nationally. I'm just saying this. We've got to have hit the bottom because there is such upward pressure as far as prices are concerned. I don't see how we couldn't, quote-unquote, be at the bottom. So that leads us to say we just might be out of the woods.
Mm-hmm. I'm hoping so.
Median price, the end of July, is $152.5 Fresno Clovis.
And that's up from March, April last year?
If you go back to... now, January is kind of interesting. January, it was $142.2, so it's kind of gone up, it's kind of gone down, it's kind of gone back up. So it's kind of doing a little bit of roller coaster effect. But if you look at a year ago, it was $154.999.
Mm-hmm. Wow.
So we're just about a little bit below where we were a year ago.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Interesting. Well, again, if you have any real estate or mortgage-related questions or questions regarding the information that you hear on our show, call us anytime, 800-979-3958. We'd love to hear from you. You can also check out our resources online and listen to past shows from the Real Estate Radio Network by going to our website at reofresnohomes.com. To friend us on Facebook, press 4 keywords.
Friend Valley White on Facebook.
Or press 4 keywords.
KMJ, call Valley White.
To get connected to us, to give us a call anytime. We'd love to hear from you. Well, coming up, we're going to talk about a few listener questions. Little curveballs, Michelle, let me tell you. Make sure you stay with us. You're listening to the Real Estate Radio Network, helping to redefine real estate here on 105.9, the FM KMJ.
This program is brought to you by the Real Estate Radio Network. Visit realestateradio.us for more info. That's realestateradio.us.
Thinking about buying a home? Find out how the HUD Home Store can help you. Visit HUDHomestore.com. Look at HUD homes available for sale near you or nationwide. Why HUD Home Store? HUD will pay up to 3% of the buyer's closing cost. The price of the home is based on an FHA as-is appraisal, which is already completed, saving you an average of $400. And there is an owner-occupant priority bidding period during the first 30 days. Want to know more? Visit HUDHomestore.com.
Mortgage interest rates are at historic lows, and there's never been a more affordable time to buy real estate. Whether you're looking for your first home, moving up, or your next income-producing property, let the mortgage professionals at Valley White help. Valley White Homes has been helping homeowners with their mortgage needs since 1997. When it comes to the Valley's real estate, we know our way around the neighborhood. Call toll-free, 800-979-3958, and put the seasoned professionals at Valley White Homes to work for you. Valley White Homes, NMLS number 342062, 235-952, California Department of Real Estate License 01228464. 888-446-0060. Have you ever thought about going solar? It's never been easier to go solar than with a SunPower lease. You'll start saving money the very first day. Arise Solar has a team of energy consultants ready to help you determine if going solar is right for you. Start taking control of your energy costs. Contact Arise Solar, your local SunPower Elite dealer at 449-8989. That's Arise Solar at 449-8989. Or use press 4 keywords, Arise Solar.
You're listening to Real Estate Radio Network with local expert Craig Barton. Now, here's Craig.
Well, we're taking one of our listener questions. Now, Terry from Fresno asks, how do you find out if a potential rental home is in foreclosure? Anyone?
Call the title company, give them the address, ask them if there's a notice of default filed on a property.
Simply put.
If there is, run.
Yeah. How many times have we seen in the last 3 years where I've gotten a phone call and someone said, and it's usually after the fact. Like Kate said, risk is not a problem until it's a problem.
Until it's done.
And in this
you're in the midst of it.
Exactly. And I got a notice taped on my door the other day, and this property is in foreclosure. Or I've got to be out because we got the notice like 4 weeks ago, and they just finally started doing something about it. And Dan, you hit it right on the head. Contact your local title company or call us. We'll pull the information for you with the title company. It is of public record because let me tell you, there's only so much time left.
Well, and I know there are property management companies out there who are cautious of this, they cannot stop it from happening, but they definitely will be your ally if you're in that situation. To help you find a new place, to help, ease that if that were to happen. I know that it has happened with management companies. They've gotten stuck as well. But do ask them to help you involved in that because they can help screen as well.
The other one, make sure the owner you're talking to owns that house. And again, you can call any realtor, call a title company. Yep. Does he own the house? Because a lot of scams going on out there about collecting money on the house and they don't own it.
Yeah.
You've got that right. Bottom line is call a real estate professional. We'll help. Kid you not. And we don't charge for that. We don't charge for it either.
Not for that question.
We are here to help.
Absolutely not.
Again, if you have any real estate or mortgage related questions or questions regarding the information that you hear on our show, call us anytime, 800-979-3958. You can also listen to past shows from the Real Estate Radio Network at REOFresnoHomes.com. Use press 4 keywords
KMJ, call Valleywide.
to get connected to us anytime. We'd love to hear from you. A big thank you to El Presidente, Dan Hawkins. Sorry, I had to kind of keep him.
That.
Our current president from the Fresno Association of Realtors, Dan Hawkins, as well as broker associate from Realty Concepts. Also, a big thank you to Michelle Pettis-Cavalli, my co-host. You're welcome back anytime. Actually, next week, be here, same time. Big thank you to Johnny B behind the mics. Johnny, you make us sound so good. Remember, again, our goal of the Real Estate Radio Network is to give you, our listeners, the timely and accurate truth about your local real estate market so we can help bring you
back home.
Don't forget to tune into the Real Estate Radio Network next Sunday at 7 a.m. right here on 105.9, the FM KMJ. Make it a great day, Central Valley, and we will see you next week.
The preceding program was paid for by the Real Estate Radio Network.